Welcome to the Deployed Podcast, where strategy, ideas, and capital come to life.
Awesome, everyone. Hey, thanks for joining me for another episode of Deployed. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michael Kearse. I'm a real estate investor and fund operator. Over the years, I've worked with a wide range of investors who've built success in very different ways, business owners, professionals, and operators, many of whom eventually start to ask the same question. Is there a smarter way to deploy capital, especially retirement capital, outside of the stock market? On Deployed, I'm not here to pitch. I'm here to understand how successful people think about capital, risk, and long-term decisions, and to explore how tools like the self-directed IRAs fit into that thinking. Today, I'm joined by Gilberto Rodriguez, who is a CEO of his own company, and he's also a realtor and also does some investing on the side. Thanks for joining us, Gil. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Hey, awesome. Gil, before we talk investing, I like to get some context, right? So what did your path to success look like?
My path to success looked like working 3 jobs, going to night school, and learning what I can from either the news media, textbooks, or just failures along the way.
Wow. Was there a moment where your relationship with money and risk kind of like changed?
It did. When I was in grad school, we always talked about money coming in and coming out. And we always focused on where the money came in, but not where the money was going out. And so once I understood that, my relationship with money changed.
I like that. What do you think kind of separates people who accumulate capital from those who actually deploy it well?
Question. I would say this: if you're accumulating capital, it's just a savings account, right? And so that's where the money comes out of, right? When you stop and look at where your money's going out of, if it's just expenses, then you're just trying to save for the expense. But when you start deploying it, it's different because you're looking at it from where is it going to go to, not what am I going to pay.
I like that. Okay. So how do you personally think about risk today versus like earlier in your career?
It hasn't changed. So my whole thing is for the long term. And so even today, when I take any kind of investments, any kind of risk, I look at it for the long term. What is it going to generate? What doors is it going to open? Is it going to be more political? Is it going to be more economical? Or is it just going to be an overall good for me?
I like that. How about liquidity, like having cash on hand? Does that play a role in how you move or how you think about, what you're gonna move forward with? Is that important as predictability?
Liquidity, it depends, right? So if you're someone who's always going to go shopping, always going to like get things, liquidity is going to be a big factor. For me, it's not. I'm not one. I mean, I buy shoes at Ross, so I'm not looking to spend that. So I'm not looking to be liquid.
Gotcha. And at this stage, what kind of investments don't interest you anymore?
The FOMOs,
The
the,
FOMOs?
the FOMOs, fear of missing out, the ones that are all hyped up. Alcohol brands are are something that's not going to hit right away because they tend to have like a period, then they just drop off. They usually get acquired by licensing things. And not unless you're like a solid brand, it's not going to hit. Technology companies, I don't do those because every day there's a new technology company. So you're never going to know if it's going to hit or miss. And the one area I would invest in 100% is entertainment, because it doesn't matter how good or bad the economy is, people want a diversion from life or diversion from whatever issues pressuring them. So, maybe it's going to the theaters, maybe it's going out to eat. So those entertainment, those restaurants, those are key right there.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, when you were thinking entertainment, I was thinking more like film, industry. Yeah, but when you throw restaurants in there, absolutely. Are those places that you played in often, especially being, on the West Coast?
Actually not. I'm barely getting started in entertainment at the moment. So my venture capital company is actually working on developing a entertainment hub in Bolivia. We're going to
Wow.
be creating a space with a stadium for about 30,000 people in La Paz, and we're hopefully to get it finished by 2029.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Now, how do you decide if something is worth your attention versus just noise?
The numbers don't lie. No
Can
matter,
you give us an example?
yeah. So for example, I had one client who created like this virtual workspace. In reality, there's not going to be a virtual noise space. So in this case, the numbers look good, but when it came to deploying the numbers, it was way off. So
Oh,
for marketing, I remember they wanted $700,000 for Kylie Jenner to give a little blurb on Instagram. And you're completely missing the market, right?
Right.
So if you're creating a business thing and you're focusing on business, Instagram shouldn't be your main marketing tool at all. And
Mhm.
so it's things like that. And again, the numbers. I mean, no matter how good or how bad an app is, the market will define your actual value.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to go back for a second. You mentioned that looking at starting the entertainment hub in your venture capital business. How did you get into venture capital? How did you get into starting your own company in that space?
So I worked for so many companies and I just thought it was time. I remember I was working for the Brinks company in their coin center, and we're processing about 32.5 million every month. And yeah, and mind you, this is pure coin. This is not cash.
Yeah.
So cash, you're talking about 4 to 500 million.
Right.
And so I got tired of it, dude. It's the same transaction, the same banks. I was like, you know what? Forget this. So I started Gilbert, and through there, I did a bunch of angel investments in tech startups, cleaning companies, art companies. And yeah, eventually that just led me to, okay, my accountant said I need a new vehicle. So I created Gilly Ventures. And with the entertainment stuff, I'm a huge sports fan. Baseball, rugby, hockey, football. I love it, dude. So when I had the opportunity to invest last year or the year before, I invested in the Bolivian Rugby Federation. And with them, we strengthened our partnership. And that's what led me to build the entertainment hub.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So in venture capital, what's usually like an organization structured like? Do you need certain people in place? Do you have to abide by certain like C rules? What's that like?
So SEC rules only apply if you're taking outside capital. So if you're taking outside capital, the SEC plays a role, NRA plays a role. You have to get what's called a CRD number. Because it is my own money, it's basically a family office, so no outside capital. We don't need to worry about licensing. We don't need to worry about all that. And we don't need to really worry about the structure because that's more, again, if you're taking outside capital, because you got the general partner, the limited partners. And so it's just maybe two analysts and myself, and that's it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you mentioned that your accountant was like, hey, you need a new vehicle. Was it one of the money problems of having too much money?
It wasn't about having too much money. It was about separating where the money was going.
Mm,
Because when you have a company, everything you do is a line item, right? You got dues, you got this. And so when it comes to subscriptions, when it comes to paying your bills, that's fine. But when it comes to investments, you want to have it on a different vehicle because that way you can see where the money is actually going to, which company is actually generating a revenue. And it won't interfere with the actual current company, if that makes any sense.
yeah, no, I just started investing in a construction company because I'm doing some flips. And I looked at his business and his numbers and I was like, wow, it made sense. And I'm getting some great returns from him. And I was just thinking about that the other day, like, wow, maybe I should create another bank account or arm to kind of separate that money that's starting to generate. So that makes sense. A question for you. I know, for me personally, I had to do a lot to kind of change my mindset around money, wealth building, and being successful. I'm really a roll up sleeve guy. And I believe now, going through what I've been going through and having the perspective that I have is that sometimes people who haven't obtained that wealth of success that they're looking for is because they just don't really either understand or believe or pay attention or really know of what's possible. And my question for you is when you were working for Brinks and seeing that much money being produced and being transacted on a day in and day out, do you think that that had some type of effect on you as far as like what's possible and from a GDP perspective and how much money is really out there?
It did in an essence because we would have private clients. So we'd had an ice cream shop who would do like a couple $1,000s in coins. So mind you, one bag of quarters is $1,000. So when they would bring in like 20, 30 bags, it's like, how do you get 20 or $30,000 of quarters in just, a week or a month? And so seeing like the little things like that really did impact me.
Right, right, right. That's pretty cool. Just to be around and be exposed to that. Because what I'm seeing too is just sometimes people just aren't exposed to what success is. People aren't exposed to the top 1%. They say, you're the average income of your five best friends. And sometimes it's really about just getting around a different energy or getting around different people. And it sounds like you had a unique situation where you got to see that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. But you know what? I don't like the sayings because, you know, I don't know if I could cuss on here, but they're kind of BS, right? They're 100% bullshit. My grandpa used to say, "Whoever is born for a dime is not going to see a quarter." And you know what? That's complete and utter bullshit. Everyone's destined for the quarter. The only difference between you or I is how much effort you're doing and what you're getting into. I
Mm,
myself, I like analytics. I love data. So I spend my days behind a computer. Gold for me. I know people who are mechanics. They spend their lives behind cars and they love it. They make their money. They're happy, right? So when you look at each person and you look what they're doing, success looks very, very different. Right. My best friend's son's a mechanic. Dude has his own house. Dude has a girlfriend. Dude that drives a Mustang 5.0. Feels successful. I'm not gonna knock it, right? Where you live, whatever you do, those are your decisions, man, and that has to be what makes you happy.
I like it. I
That's your
like
success, yeah.
that mindset. Now, switching gears a little bit to the self-directed IRA, you mentioned that, you use one, you're familiar with it. How did you first learn about the self-directed IRA?
Actually, I learned about it in undergrad. I was watching CNBC. I saw a commercial for Capital One investing. So, like, you know what? I need a retirement account. So I opened up a retirement account. And whenever I get like a bonus check over the weekend or something, I'll just put it in there and just forget about it. And since then, I've been growing it. I have like 2 investment accounts, 2 retirement accounts. Yeah, dude.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. What surprised you most about, how it actually worked once you understood it?
The taxes. When you look at IRAs, you got traditional and Roth. One's pre-tax, one's post-tax, and how those contributions actually affect your tax bracket, your tax rate, and your returns. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Now, what types of investments made the most sense for you inside of your retirement account?
I do everything long term. When it comes to the retirement account, I do everything long term. So, for example, well, let me stop right there. Let me say this. When you have an IRA, when you have any type of investment account, there's something called the reinvestment program. This is when instead of getting the cash dividend, it gives you the cash dividend purchases a part of the company. So you get like an extra stock. And so what I did is the American companies that I have are on the reinvestment program. So like Harley Davidson, Ford, and that's my whole long term. So, I bought them like what I bought them in 2012. So we're past 10 years. So
Oh,
all those dividends came to buy more of the company and more of the company. And it's a cool thing because if you think about it, right? The dividend buys you buy 2 shares. The dividend allows you to buy one more. So
uh-huh.
then you have three. So they don't give you the dividend on the two, they give you the dividend on the three. So it allows you to buy more and more and
It's
more.
compound. That's
Yeah.
finesse.
And so that stays there and that increases the value, the portfolio value of your IRA and
Mm,
of your investment accounts. Right.
no,
And so that is I mean, I focus on that on the long term 100%.
got it, got it. So even though you're using a self-directed IRA that allows you to invest in alternatives, meaning alternatives to the stock market, you still use yours specifically for those long-term stock types of assets.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, what IRA company do you use, if you don't mind sharing? E-Trade. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome, awesome. Nice, nice. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit, just a little bit. Why do you think retirement capital often aligns better with like these passive investments rather than like active ones?
In my opinion, it's the whole set it and forget it factor. So you have your retirement accounts, you're like, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch it. It's for my retirement. And so you get a bonus check, you make extra money. So you put it in there, you hit the contribution of, I believe it's 7,000 fiscal year. So you make an extra 7,000, you put it in there and like you set it and you forget it. And so, with regular accounts, you're usually trading, finding ways to make money. But with the retirement accounts, people are like, oh, it's for my future, it's for my future. And they wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, absolutely. What appeals to you about lending? Have you ever done any lending versus just more of your active own investing?
I have. I've done that with crypto. It's,
Oh, tell me more.
staking. Yeah. Big fan of it. I remember I did this in 2017 or 18. Started with $50, purchased Ethereum, staked it through Coinbase, and when I cashed it out last month because it was closing, generated $700. So
Nice.
compound the interest, same thing. Interest compounding 100%.
Yeah, I remember I was doing staking back then too, and I just told someone I need to go in and check my Coinbase. I haven't checked in years, and now they're just telling me that they're maybe shutting down. I would think someone would like reach out to me and send an email, but I had put some money into some staking a long time ago. I hope I can track it down and remember how to access it. Sometimes you have these stories about everything being real encrypted, and if you don't have your encryption key, that you can't access it, things like that. So, what would you say is a good passive investment? What would you say one looks like today?
Passive investment. You know, I want to say real estate, dude. A house. A house is going to give you more equity, more return on investment than any bank account, any stock, anything could ever give you.
Yeah, yeah, I agree 100%. I love that asset class. That's where I play at. That's my baby.
Nice.
How about yourself? I think you mentioned offline that you invest in real estate as well. Do you have a big, large portfolio or certain places that you're looking in?
So I don't have a large portfolio. Most of my stuff is out of the country. So
Oh,
I got like some spots in Central and South America, but nothing here in the States.
nice, nice. Do you invest in like retail hotels or like vacation spots, or is it more like residential areas?
I I was doing the whole Tulum, Cancun Airbnb rental, but it's just, I mean, I like it. I'm not gonna knock it. It's 100%. It's just I don't visit there every time, and so it's kinda weird for me to have a place where I don't visit.
Right, right. That was gonna be a follow-up question. Do you visit any of your investments? And I think that's the cool part.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So, Gil, what advice would you give someone sitting on a large retirement account who feels stuck in like traditional options?
You know, in real estate, what most people don't know is you're actually able to leverage your retirement accounts to purchase property. So if you're, say you're going to buy a property, you want to buy an investment account, and you're looking at doing what's called a DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio, which basically means that if you're buying an apartment complex, the apartment complex is supposed to cover the rent. That um, I'm not a lender, so I'm not gonna go into detail, but what I will say is this: if you're gonna buy that, you need at least 20 to 30% down, and some
That's
people don't have that kind of money.
that's true.
So if you really look at it, you know, if you're buying like a $1.2 million, you need at least $120,000 down. That's hard to do. But what you can do is, hey, I'm gonna take a loan from my IRA. I'm gonna take a loan from my investment account. I'm gonna take a loan from my IUL. Use that money, use it as down payment, and then once you get the property, you can start paying that back with the money being generated.
Absolutely, absolutely. I did something similar. One of the things that I really like about the self-directed IRAs as well, especially the custodians, right, that allow you to invest in those types of alternatives, will allow you, to your point, either lend to someone who's doing something similar who may need that 20% down, allow you to purchase that property and receive that DSCR loan under that self-directed IRA as if it's its own entity. And to your point earlier, all of the profits or the cash flow, you can decide if it's tax now or deferred, which most people kind of choose to defer with their self-directed IRAs. So yeah, great example. I love that example with the self-directed IRA. And to your point, they can also lend to someone else who's doing the same thing, which is pretty cool. What kinds of conversations do you think more investors should have around like retirement accounts and retirement capital?
You know, I wouldn't say investors generically, I would say everyone.
Mm,
Everyone needs to have a conversation of why am I getting a retirement account and how can I utilize my retirement account? Because everyone is going to retire, you know, unless you're one of those guys that wants to work till like 75, 80. But everyone's going to, everyone's going to retire and everyone's going to need to figure out what to do. Right. I'm not going to get political and say because Social Security is ending in like next year, but you know, you can't just base your whole life on like one basket.
mhm.
You gotta find different baskets because one may be full, one may be half, one may need a little bit of attention. Those three baskets will get you what you need whenever you go day to day.
When you think about the word capital, what does that word mean to you?
Capital to me is the opportunity to see new futures.
I like that. Now, sometimes on Deployed, we also talk about capital in regard to time and attention, right? How do you decide where you spend your time and attention with that capital?
Money comes and goes. So for me, it's time. My only capital focus is time. What am I going to do with it? Who am I spending it with? Where are we going? I mean, if I'm short $50, I'll hit it, work for 2 hours, get a job, whatever, make that $50. but that time is that you're not going to get back again. So if you, and this goes to everyone, right? So if you're working those shifts, you want to be a good, church mouse, show up every day, show up on time, do that extra hour. You know what? A company is not going to appreciate that as much. They're not. They're going to say, the boss is going to say thank you because you're making them look good. They're the ones getting the bonuses, but what? No. So focus your time, focus your priority on you, focus on your health. Health, when I say health, I'm talking about mental, physical, spiritual, emotional. That's what you got to focus on. At the end of the day, you're easily going to be replaced, but your time's not going to come back.
Wise words spoken. Wise words spoken indeed. Thank you for that. What does legacy mean to you?
That one hits, man. That one does hit. Legacy is different for me because I am the only son of Cuban immigrants. So I've been working since I was 8 years old. The only goal that I have right now is to make sure like my parents and myself are good. So if my family's good, we're good, that's fine. I don't have any kids right now, so I don't know what my future holds. As my only, the only thing I wanted, I mean, damn, dude. As long as my parents are good and I'm good, that's all that matters.
Nice. I like it. I like it. I like it. What's one lesson about money or life you would want to pass on to your future children or to your younger self? Okay. It's so much.
It's not that it's so much, but it's what they want to focus on. So sometimes, I don't know if they're going to want to focus on being that bougie ass person buying like the $600 loafers or like, it's cool to wear a suit, right? Like I'll buy a suit, whatever, but it's what they want to focus on. For me, it's,
What if it was your younger self? If you had the opportunity to go talk to
if it was my younger self, I'll tell them, you know what, save while you can, forget about the BS, start eating healthy and travel. Get
Ooh.
fit at 8, do whatever you did, but you know what, travel, get out, see the world. Don't be afraid to climb a mountain. Don't be afraid to go on a hike.
I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. So last section, I call this the bonus round. That's the bonus segment. All right. I'm going to wrap around. This is a fun closer. All right. I'm going to
Okay.
ask you a sentence and I want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind. Cool?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. A book that changed your life.
Anything by Anything Goes by David. Is it David Stessel or yeah, Anything Goes. I think it's Anything Goes.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to check it out. Best investment under $500.
Best investment under $500 would have to be Ford. They're $12. They're $12.
Nice. One word that defines success.
Growth.
Who do you admire for how they deploy capital?
Mark Cuban.
Is in the description. Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
You've been watching the Deployed podcast, where we deploy insight, capital, and growth.